Am I live? I am on. I have to check and make sure that I am heard, though. I'm hoping all these Telegram messages don't beat the sound here. Hold on. Am I... There we go. Okay, perfect. So we can hear me. I don't know if the Telegram sounds are popping in. If they do, let me know. I am going to throw that on there. All right, so for this live stream, usually I do these video edits, but this time I'm going to be doing it's technically a space on Twitter, X, whatever, which in my mind is like a podcast. So I'm going to be doing a full edit of an hour-long podcast, which means it's probably going to be at least an hour-long stream, so don't feel like you need to stick around for the whole thing. But I'm using a program called Descript. I do have an affiliate link attached to wherever you're streaming from, whether it's in the description or part of the message if you're on X. But I have Descript open. You can see some of my past projects that I've done edits for already. But we are going to go up to new project, and this is going to be an audio project. And it's going to open up the project file, which will be completely empty, and this is where we go in and edit or add our file. So I'm just going to drag the MP3 over into the screen, and what it's going to do is going to analyze it and go through to transcribe the audio. Well, I know one of these is going to be me. We'll have to rename and relabel who's speaking as we go through. That's part of what I have to do when I edit these, because I also like to make transcripts for people that are needing to follow along that don't, maybe English isn't their first language. It's just easy for them to transcribe it into their own language. So we'll do that. I also use this program to enhance the sound quality. And take out any like long pauses or filler words like ums and uhs. And I think this should be pretty easy to do. It'll still be a little time consuming, but once this is done transcribing, what I like most about this program is it does allow you to edit the text, and it edits that audio at the same time. So if I delete a word, it also deletes that audio. I don't have to go and do it both places. So it saves a ton of time regardless. It's so easy. Honestly, I can't think of a better program to edit a podcast with than Descript. Video, it does a really good job with video too. There's probably a couple things that I'm not used to with video yet. But I mean, it does most everything. So once this is done, so we got an hour and 9 minutes worth of time. And then we will throw out some of these items. I'll just go ahead and go over some of these items under the Underlord. This is a lot of their AI functionality. But for example, you have the option to remove filler words. These are like your ums, uhs. Well, you can see here it pops up. Verbal clutter that don't actually, they aren't really technically part of the sentence. They've got studio sound, which basically it makes it sound like it's a podcast. It does a lot of really good quality. Also, where you would go to like make something louder. If somebody's talking softly, you can do that there. Remove retakes. Cut all but your best takes. This I've never used, and I may once I finish editing this, I might make a copy and play with it to see what it actually does, because I've never used it. I might do that and stream it later. I'm not going to do it today. Shorten word gaps, anything over a second, I have it automatically removed. That's like dead space. That doesn't need to be in the podcast. You can add chapters or add markers. I haven't used that yet either. But I will say, if you go down to the YouTube description, another thing I really like, if you do actually use this for video editing at some point, if you're using it for your YouTube channel, this will create your chapters and do your what do they call it, your timeline with the dates. So you can just copy it in your description of your YouTube video, and it'll come up with a description. It'll analyze the text of the transcript. It'll be like, all right, here's a description of this video. So it does all of that for you. Just copy and paste it into YouTube. You can also do a social media draft post of the content. It'll go through and use AI to formulate that. If you need to do show notes, which we would probably do if we had this as an official podcast, which we don't currently. Draft a title. Oh, you can translate into other languages. I haven't used that yet either, because I don't really know what languages to transcribe into. I mean, obviously Spanish would be good. And I know in this particular community that this space was on, we have a lot of Dutch and French members, so I could do that. There, so it's gone through the entire hour of audio, and it has officially transcribed everything. And you can see there's a lot of empty space. That's what these dots are for. So we're at an hour and 9 minutes and 57 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and start with the shortening of the word guess, because I'm really curious how much time it's going to cut off here. But let's see. So it looks like there's quite a few, 149 specifically. So we're at 1 minute and 9:57. I'm assuming it's going to take a little bit. There we go. So it took off 4 minutes of just weird random gaps. That's pretty decent. Pretty decent. And then the other AI function I really love is the removing of filler words. So anything that's an or an there's 687. Even I did them. Look at this. So I'm going to just skim through because it highlights them. So you can kind of be like, all right, yeah, these are all pretty legit. We use a lot of you knows. Who's that? I don't know who that is, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, these all look pretty legit. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten all. Or no. No, I don't get off. Does it get rid of all of them? I don't understand this part here. Did I do it right? Hold on. Let me try this again. Remove filler words. There we go. I was like, shorten all. That was from the previous. So 688. Remove all of them. So we're at 105.15. I'm curious how much. Oh, wow. 6 minutes of just filler words. That's crazy. I mean, it's not unheard of, I guess. Like even repeat words. Sometimes you'll be like, you know, the you know, when you're stuttering, not stuttering, but you know what I'm saying. Normal conversation isn't perfect. So, all right. So now the biggest thing I got to do is I'm going to listen to it, make sure everything is spelled correctly, make sure, I mean, technically I want to make sure the punctuation is good as well. So like Dennis is a person's name. It needs to be capitalized. Some of these are like, I don't know why some of these are on separate lines. I don't feel like they should be. But I'm going to do my best. It's going to take a while. Again, I've already cut off, what did we cut off? 10 minutes of audio. Oh, and I also am going to do studio sound next so you can hear the way it sounds and how the studio sound improves it to be more clear. So I'm going to go ahead and start this at the beginning. And then I'm going to do studio sound so you guys can hear the difference.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to get the team in here. I
want to start the studio sound. It's got to apply it first.
Partnership, discussion, moderation, and items for the team. And I'm just going to wait for them to hop in. Oh, I see Tony and Dennis. Perfect. I see exhibits in there too.
And honestly,
all right, Dennis, you should have code.
This top part, the intro, I don't think we need to keep all of that in there. That's just people were already sitting in the AMA, so it made sense to be like, this is what's going to happen right now.
The host coming in.
All right, so it hasn't applied yet. It's still applying. But I'm going to figure out where I want to start. I might start here and get rid of everything above that. Yeah, I don't think any of this is relevant or needs to be in the AMA. All right, so we'll start here.
I just want to give a shout out to Dennis and Tony.
So deleting that text also deleted it from the audio automatically, which again is one of the main reasons that I love this program, because it makes it so easy, especially for editing a podcast. But I guess it's going to take a second. So while that is applying, and as we're listening through this, you may hear the difference in the audio once it's done. It should be pretty sharp clarity.
Who are in Nashville right now for the Bitcoin conference and still managed to make time to get on here and answer you guys' questions. So thank you guys for that.
No, Crystal.
All right, so now this is Tony speaking, and obviously I don't want that marked as my name. So what I do here is I'll right click and change speaker. Whoa, wrong keys. And then I'll create a speaker named Tony Evans, because that's who's speaking there. And now I can use that to apply it later on in the audio as well, since he's created as a new speaker.
No, Crystal. Also, Austin's here as well. So we're all three. We've had to scatter ourselves around because we just finished a whole afternoon of meetings talking about all the updates that we've been able to announce, and soon to announce also over the next couple of days as well. Yeah, so we're all scattered across the same hotel, making sure we keep the community up to date and share good news.
Now, I don't know if you guys heard that. For anybody that's listening, there was some kind of background noise, like almost like he was if he's at the hotel, maybe like the hotel lounge or restaurant at the hotel. I'm thinking the studio sound will get rid of that also. I think it does a little bit of editing in terms of your background noise. So I want to make sure I come back to this once the studio sound is applied to see if it got rid of it. So it's right around here.
Making sure we keep the community.
Yeah, so when he says hotel, I'm going to come back to this, the coughing and the dish sounds in the background, and see if it got rid of those.
Community up to date and share good news, answer questions. We keep on moving forward, and thank our everybody in the community for the support and everything.
And like a couple words like this one obviously was the incorrect word. I'll edit some of those out too.
Everybody in the community for the support and everything.
That's right. I forgot.
All right, so now we're back to me, my awful voice. So I'm gonna change that to me. And I guess I should change. That's the thing with having a name that's also an item. Sometimes it doesn't pick it up as a person, so it doesn't capitalize it. But so this is still doing sound, so we'll keep going while it's processing.
That's right. I forgot Austin was going to be there. So hello, Austin.
Hey, Crystal. How are you?
All right. New speaker alert. So I'm going to right click. I do the enter so that it's just easier to diagnose when it's on a different line. Oh my gosh, I forget Austin's last name. I hope he forgives me. All right, so it looks like it's finished processing. So I'm going to go back up here real quick.
I just want to give a shout out to.
And I'm going to turn it off real quick. And then turn it on while we're listening so you can hear the difference.
Dennis and Tony, who are in Nashville right now for the Bitcoin conference and still managed to make time.
Here's it off.
To get on here and answer you guys' questions. So thank you guys for that.
No, Crystal. Also, Austin's here as well. So we're all three. We've had to scatter ourselves around.
Tony off. You can hear a little reverb.
A whole afternoon of meetings talking about all the updates that we've been able to announce.
Here's on for Tony.
And soon to announce.
I'm going to turn it off so we can hear that background noise here.
Days as well. Yeah, so we're all scattered across the same hotel, making sure we keep.
So we heard the dishes and the coughing. So I'm going to go back to right before then, have the studio sound back on, and see if it got rid of that real quick.
Across the same hotel, making sure we keep the community up to date. And
do you see that? No dishes, no coughing, a lot more clear. I wish I had my other earbud in. I think it's dead. Let me try it. I have a fan and air conditioning on in the background, so I don't even know if you guys can hear that. Hopefully not. I'm using a Yeti mic, so hopefully it cancels that out. But let me see here.
And soon to announce also over the next couple of days as well. Yeah, so we're all scattered across the same hotel, making sure we keep the community up to date.
With the studio on, everything's
news,
way more clear.
We keep on moving forward. Thank everybody in the community for the support and everything.
That's right. I forgot Austin was going to be there. So hello, Austin.
Hey, Crystal, how are you doing?
Doing great. 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙦 Ascension invite.
All right, so this is me. I'm gonna change it to my name, and then for some reason, 𝙎𝙤𝙤's name gets transcribed so many different ways. It's annoying, but amusing at the same time. So anytime it's 𝙎𝙤𝙤, I've seen 𝙎𝙤𝙤, I've seen 𝙎𝙤𝙤, I've seen 𝙎𝙤𝙤 with a D. Like it transcribes it weird so many times.
𝙎𝙤𝙤 Ascension invite, if you got that or not.
Now see, there was an in here that it didn't catch. I guess because it was so close to other words. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to timeline. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not that worried about it for this. I'm going to delete as many as I can. But I haven't been paying attention for them. But I did notice that one. I don't know if I want to go back and do the other parts right now. Maybe later. But this grayed out here, or grayed out part here in the timeline is where that was. So I'm going to...
It's going to be there. So hello, Austin.
Hey.
Wait, where was it?
That's right. I forgot Austin was going to be there. So hello, Austin.
Hey,
no, it was
Crystal,
down
how
here,
are you
wasn't
doing?
It was right here.
Doing great. 𝙎𝙤𝙤 Ascension invite, if you got...
If you, okay. So right around here, what I'll do is there's a tool here called Blade. It's basically a cut tool. It lets you cut pieces of the timeline. I'm going to cut before and after that gray part. So now it's a separate piece. Click on it, hit the delete key on my keyboard, and we're going to see if it got rid of that without sounding too choppy.
An invite, if you got that or not.
I mean, it does sound choppy. That's probably why the AI couldn't detect it, because it's so close together with the words around it. But I'm going to leave it like this because you still understand it. But I probably could have left it in and not be a big deal.
On that, I want to thank again everybody for jumping in, especially the team for taking time out of the conference to come on and answer questions. I do have a list of questions from the community, but if you do have a question that has not been answered, or...
So there's a punctuation issue here. I think spacing between the audio, sometimes the program takes that as the end of the sentence, and so it changes the punctuation. That's my theory anyway. It's the only one that makes sense. That's why some of this, the punctuation's weird.
That has not been answered, or you didn't get a chance to get a question earlier, feel free to request.
I think we need a comma here and this period. Now, one thing I will just a small thing. When you delete a period, because a period, it automatically detects the next sentence in cap. Watch this F here when I delete this period. So because that's not the end of a sentence, it now takes the capitalization off, which is nice. But I will put a comma there because it doesn't put a capitalization after a comma.
Feel free to request to speak, and I will get you on stage as soon as possible. Dennis, would you like to make any initial remarks?
Yeah, no, thank
All right, so we have to create a new speaker for Dennis. I also like that it color codes the speakers. So now Dennis is brown, I'm green, Austin is orange, Tony is purple, and then we only have one other speaker, and that'll be 𝙎𝙤𝙤. We should have all of our speakers created. 𝙎𝙤𝙤 speaks very well, very clear, so I shouldn't have to do a lot of edits on his part. Dennis does tend to have some uhs and ums, and Tony, I don't know, he's Welsh, so I think he just speaks differently. I'm not used to it. So there will probably be some edits there. And of course me, I'm sure I say a lot. And I say weird shit. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, thank you. We've gotten in the habit of doing these AMAs on a regular basis.
I did hear it all in there. I think it was right around here, like right this little gray area. I am going to go ahead and delete it just to test it out and see if it makes it sound too choppy.
Habit of doing these AMAs on a regular
It's not too bad.
basis, and just want to say how appreciative I am of the community and everybody who's joining the AMA live or listen to it later. Really am overjoyed at the opportunity to be able to speak to you all what the AI is doing. Check you up on the later. And also just want to say, love you guys and girls. I'm so happy to have you on board our mission to bring decentralized AI to the world by providing the best enterprise grade.
All right. Sorry, I was looking at another screen while I was listening, but I do see 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤. This is another word because it's an odd word. It's not typically in normal conversation. And I didn't spell it right, so I'm going to do a whole. You can see there's. Oh, go away. Is it 20? Yeah, 20 instances where it spells it incorrectly. So we're going to correct all of those now, so I don't have to do each individual one. And go from there. I think I don't miss any other. Yeah. All right.
AI is doing. Check you up on the later. And also just want to say, love you guys.
Now, the audio for his is a little weird. I'm going to turn the studio sound off to see if it's something with his. I don't know what it is. Hold on. Let's play.
AI is doing. Catch you up on the latest. And also just want to say, love you guys and girls. I'm so happy to have you on board our mission to bring decentralized AI to the world by providing the.
Maybe it's just having trouble detecting all of his audio. I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't like that it does that. We need to get everybody mics. I think that's actually, I'm going to make a note of that right now. I talked directly into my phone. I think mine was pretty clear. I assume 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤's the same way. Dennis, I'm thinking, let me make a note here. Get mics for the guys. I'm thinking he maybe like sets it down and talks to it, or maybe he uses an earbud. I don't know. I tried to use an earbud in the June AMA and it sounded awful. So I will never use earbuds again. I will always talk directly into my phone. But I don't know. I got to figure out why the audio is so weird for him sometimes.
Best enterprise grade compute to Web3 Pro.
All right. So Web3, while this is accurate, it's technically written like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and knock all those out too. So again, the find and replace functionality makes this a lot easier too. And it's not that it changes the audio when you correct spelling or grammar. What it does is it just changes. If you want to do captions, it fixes the captions. If you want to export a transcript into a document format, then it'll do that. Now, let me show you guys. I transcribed, like, for example, the March AMA. I'm going to bring this over to the screen so you can see it. This is what it looks like when you transcribe into a Word doc. It has your timestamps and the name of the person. So, and it does the same colors of what you have in here. So it helps people to be like, oh, okay, red is this person, brown is this person. So this is why I think it's good to, do as much of the spelling, punctuation that you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but making sure everything's properly labeled. Cut out anything that's like, hello, can you hear me? Like that type of stuff. You don't need it in the space for the transcript. And you definitely don't need it in the captions that overlay on a video. For example, I'll show you one video we did previously. If this is your first stream where you've watched me do this, I'll just pick a random one. Like this one. This is one that I edited into Descript.
Clients come to you to utilize your servers at your physical facility.
And it does these captions. So all the punctuation and spelling fixes you do, it pulls directly from that to make these captions. So that's something to be aware of too. For
computational purposes.
Anyway, going back to what we were doing.
Web3 protocols and more. And thank you so much, Cripple, for doing the hosting today.
No problem.
Here's me again. It's my awful voice. Label.
No problem. I'll go ahead and get started with the questions unless Tony or 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤 or...
Now look at that spelling. 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. What? What? Are there any others that spell it like that? No. Anyway.
𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤 or Austin have anything they want to initially start with?
None for me.
All right, so that was 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤. So now I get to add him as a speaker. This is his first time speaking in this particular. I'm just going to use his full pseudonym.
I'm fine. I think Dennis said it all.
All right, so that's Tony. And we're only 2 minutes in, so we still got a ways to
I'm
go.
fine. I think Dennis said it all. It doesn't matter where we are. If we can do it as a team or some of us can do it, we'll always make sure that we're here to answer questions and also support. I think it's more about turning up and being there. That's half the battles. Looking forward. Thank you all. I think we better start this.
Excellent. Well, we'll start with
All right, I'm going to switch that down. I did want to change this spelling because he technically said support. It's just like the way he speaks, it sounded like supports. So let me go ahead, change this to me. I did learn a lot doing this AMA too. I want to create like an outline of how the structure is going to work moving forward with AMAs because, you know, some people can be long-winded and then figuring out how to end things, how to start things. So that's another project I'll be working on this week.
excellent. Well, we'll start with kind of the big elephant in the study room right now.
Study room, not study room. Are there others? No, it's just the one.
The big elephant in the study room right now. Big announcements this week regarding the $60 million investment. One of the questions that came over from the community was, how does BCII have the $60 million to invest, and how does the 20% to them affect holders? I know that we've had some clarification on Telegram, but in terms of making sure it gets known to everybody, if there's something that, Tony, you could add to that, would be great.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so we'll start a new speaker here. See, I think I tend to be long-winded on these things too, and I'll get better as time goes. Like it's all experience. So as I listen to this, I'm making notes in my head of, you know, how I can improve these in the future.
Sure. Yes, that was a big announcement because it allows us to get access to funding, to allow us to excel of everything that we're doing and to go and build up the infrastructure that we need. So from that point, it was all about building the infrastructure as fast as possible before anything else. So the 20% is basically what we're doing in regard to sharing income with BCII, because they're the one that's financing it and we have to pay them for the ability to do that. But we haven't taken any outside money. As everybody knows, we haven't done, we've basically been working with the community.
All right, so this I think is irrelevant. I think you started a thought there and didn't finish it. So those I remove also because, again, it's a transcript. You want it to make sense for other people that have to translate this as well.
We've basically been working with the community and the community's been supporting us through our growth. But we've also looking at other options to allow us to excel in what we're doing and also to satisfy the demand that is the decentralized infrastructure. And we've basically done this. It's basically 20%.
All right, so I think this was meant to be the end of a sentence. And this is the start of a sentence. So I'm actually going to bring this down so that this can be up next to it and make a little bit more sense.
It's basically 20% of the net revenue generated will be paid back to them. That's as simple as it is. It's nothing complicated. Dennis, anything you want to add to that?
All right, another sentence that was not completed. And then Dennis starts talking here, so we're going to change that to him as well. Now, if you have a podcast, you don't necessarily have to have these transcripts. I think it's a good thing to do the transcripts. A lot of people, you know, maybe they want to, you know, do a quick search for the content or something. They don't want to listen to the whole thing. It's, you know, beneficial for that. I think providing as much, how do you say it? Flexibility for your listeners as possible, whether it's transcriptions, whether it's captions, whatever. You want to provide everything in order to keep your audience engaged. So there may be people that can't listen while they're like me in bed at 3 a.m. and can't sleep. Maybe I don't have my earbuds and I'd rather just read it, like that kind of stuff. It just makes it so much easier and available for people.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think the question was in two parts. Like first, how does BCI business work in the sense that they can invest money in us? And the other part was, how does the 20?
All right, so that again wasn't the end of the sentence.
How does the 20%, rev share affects the holders?
And that is a filler that didn't get caught. So we'll go ahead and delete that.
Rev share affects the holders. And Tony, you touched on the latter part very well. I just add briefly to that to say that there is a financing cost associated with, acquiring the hardware. And that's the form that it takes for 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤.
All right, we got the spelling issue, which this one's pretty consistent too. It doesn't know how to read the word SETI, so it do like study or city or something like that. So you can see it does it multiple times here. So we are going to correct all of them to be the correct spelling.
𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤, whole community.
And it's especially important for SETI. That's the brand name. So I want that to be accurate throughout the whole discussion and the transcriptions and the captions. So
In this particular financing example.
Actually, I'm going to cut this out of here because this one's completely separate from all the other words and unnecessary. So I'm going to cut that one out.
Particular financing example. And
there's another one that's pretty separate. Plus, I can get rid of some of this pause, which will make it shorter. Not by much, obviously, like a half a second.
Example, if we had taken a loan or when we take a loan to purchase servers, there is a finance cost associated with that as well. That's just called something different. That's going to be servicing the debt as opposed to paying out revenue. So there is no free lunch in this world, as I mentioned on Telegram the other day, and a really great debt.
I think that's technically.
As I mentioned on Telegram the other day, and a really great debt with all of you guys. So there is a financing cost associated with acquiring, especially this much hardware, and servicing that cost is part of the cost of doing business. And I think people were also curious about who is BCI and where.
All right, let me fix this spelling real quick. Yeah, I wish the audio for Dennis was better. But I'm not going to do about it now. Just do the best I can.
Who is BCI and where does the money come from? And this is a great question. BCI is an OTC listed.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a correct all thing here. Oh, there's only one more. Oh. I thought maybe that was a pattern, but I haven't gotten to this part yet, but you see where it is SETI here as well as CITI. So we're going to go ahead, do a correct all. That's done twice throughout the document. There we go. Anyway, back to here.
Is an OTC listed, publicly traded company in the US that makes these kinds of investments. And much, again, like any other kind of investor that we would be doing business.
Now, technically, that's not the start of a new sentence, but the punctuation under US, I'm going to leave there because it's mostly appropriate. Oh. See, I don't even type correctly. That's. But just for captions and translations, especially if people are trying to do this and translate it into another language, I think it would just be easier. And honestly, I only ever see this written this way in text, so I'm going to change that to take out the periods. I don't know whether that's appropriate. It's probably not grammatically correct, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
OTC listed, publicly traded company in the US that makes these kinds of investments. And much, again, like any other kind of investor that we would be doing business with, his business hinges around working with their investor base to put together.
Now, for anybody listening, because I know there's like half a dozen of you right now, it's about to start raining also. So I don't think that'll affect my audio. I'm very glad for the rain. But this whole topic of discussion, if you are into crypto at all, this project 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙤 is one that I'm involved in. They do pay me to do their social media, and now they're paying me to do some management stuff for them. We got a $60 million investment, and you've probably, if you're listening, you've probably deducted that. But this was a really big deal. And it's going to allow them to buy more of this enterprise grade equipment to expand the compute that we can offer to all these different companies, decentralized AI companies or whatever. And that means that eventually what's going to happen is once we start getting in a lot of revenue from using these machines for mining or whatever, every 100% of the net income that we get, after expenses, operational costs, whatever, are going back into the SETI ecosystem. There's going to be revenue share. People that hold tokens will get revenue. It's like a passive income type thing. So this was a really big deal. So I'm trying to make sure that I get all of the text accurate, because people will look this stuff up and they'll want to understand. I mean, this is a huge financial thing that's going on right now. We're so excited for it. But if you're in crypto or you're interested in crypto, definitely do your research. You're welcome to look at any of these AMAs and see the questions that have been answered by the team. I have them all posted, transcripts in the Telegram. But it's a really big deal. This is a really big project. If you're into crypto, I suggest looking at it. And if you're already in SETI, then great. You know what the hell's going on.
OTC listed, publicly traded company in the US that makes these kinds of investment. And much, again, like any other kind of investor that we would be doing business with, AI's business hinges around working with their investor base to put together investment in the form of, for example, the one that we're doing together with them, and servicing their investors.
All right, I'm going to take this out. This section I will probably use to create a video later. So I'm going to probably go over with a fine tooth comb when I get to that point. But I'm going to try to edit as much as I can now so I don't have to do so much later. But because we had so many questions about BCII, this clip is definitely what I'm going to put out there, because I think it describes it perfectly. I mean, BCI is basically like a shell company. And all these investors that want to get into AI because AI is about to blow up, it's already been blowing up, then that's why they were able to invest $60 million in this.
And to the extent that like SETI AI is involved in any of these discussions with any investor, we know a little bit about like how this works, as I've described to you just now.
Described to you just now. Yeah, I think there's some extra stuttering going on there.
To you just now. But for the most part, investors are in the investment business, and they're the expert at raising funds to do these types of investments and working with their particular community, and they're all different, and servicing their particular investor community's needs. And that's what I think that's the best way to describe it. I think that.
Okay. I think he meant to say this. I think that was the best way to describe it. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe it. I think that BCII is tapping into their.
I'm going to get rid of this here too while I'm thinking about it. Because again, I'm going to be using this clip later in a video. So it's going to be even cleaner.
I think that BCII is tapping into their unique, class of investors.
There's like a here that didn't get caught. So I'm going to get rid of that.
Their unique class of investors and helping them participate in this opportunity with SETI AI.
It sounded like he said with SETI AI, right?
With SETI AI.
Yes, but the other part.
That might be hard to cut out. With, I'm assuming, I might not be able to cut that one out. That one's pretty close.
With SETI AI.
Yes, but the other parts.
All right, let's switch speakers to Tony.
Yes, but the other parts, I think Dennis covered that point, is that it's always about, okay, what's the cost? What's the cost? The thing is, the other cost that people don't talk about, which is key in this industry, if people don't talk about, is time. Okay, the thing.
There's like a weird I think it's right there. Hold on.
Industry, if people.
Wait, where was it? It sounded like it was this purple here. Hold on.
Industry, if people.
Yeah, I think this is the actual if. I think this purple. Well, let's cut it and see. We can always undo it. It'll take the text away though too, there, because the purple was attached to the text. But I'm gonna show you how we add it back.
Industry, people don't talk about it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna try it first this way, where if you correct it and put the word in, like the word if in, there we go. Is that a period there? What is the period there for? I don't need the, hold on. I don't need that weird ass period in there. There we go. All right, let's see if that sounds.
Industry, people don't talk about its time. Okay.
Why is there an extra E? What is going on? I'm gonna start up here. I want to listen to this all the way through.
Which is key in this industry. People don't talk about its time. Okay. The thing that we've been able to do throughout.
All right, hold on. Now that I'm going back and listening, the thing, there's other costs that people don't talk about, which is key in this industry. I think I can actually get rid of this whole thing because he says already up here, the other cost that people don't talk about, which is key in this industry, is time. I think I can actually take this whole thing out and then just eliminate the issue. And I don't know if he says it's time or is time. So let's listen to that real quick.
In this time. Okay.
It's time. So I will put a comma in here. But yeah, I think that whole thing was unnecessary anyway. So here we go. Let's go on.
It's time. Okay. The thing that we've been.
And I have a delivery happening right this second from Amazon. And my dog, if he notices, he's going to go ballistic. And I apologize in advance. You may not hear him because my mic's pretty good at cutting him out. He doesn't notice the trucks here yet. And they're pulling out, so he might not. I'm hoping that me just talking like this will help drown out the fact that there's a big truck in my driveway, which I think it will. I think we'll be all right. Anyway, so the other thing with Tony, the way he talks is he uses a lot of things like these, I don't know what you call them, but they're words like in between sentences, like okay. And he uses okay a lot. So I'm never sure whether I should delete those because it's part of how he talks. And I don't want to change how he talks, but they are, in my opinion, considered filler words. So, and I don't know if it's because, how he grew up in Wales or I don't even know if he grew up in Wales. I just know he's Welsh. So I don't know. If you guys are watching and you can comment, I think I can see all comments. I know I can on YouTube. I think I can on Twitter. I'm not sure about LinkedIn because I'm streaming on all three, but would you eliminate those type of words? Because he uses that a lot. I don't usually edit them out because, again, it's how he talks. But they are considered filler words. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. Like, listen to it again.
Which is key in this time. Okay. The thing that we've been able to do throughout.
And I'll give another example. When we get to when Logri starts talking, he does the same thing, but it's using the word right. Like, servers do this, right? Like that kind of stuff. Again, it's a filler word, but at the same time, is he formulating a question? Is he trying to make a statement? Is it relevant? I don't know. I think I'm overthinking it, to be honest.
Our networks, and we had discussions of this in another meeting that we'll share later on.
All right, so there's two wells here. I can definitely get one of those.
We'll share later on. Is the ability for us to be able to get the hardware, to get it delivered, set up in about 30 to 45 days, opposed to normal people in the marketplace that are waiting between 6 to 8 months. Is another path. The ability, first mover advantage in this industry is key. So the ability for us to go out and buy the hardware and the ability for us to basically build on top of it is key. So this is one of the key paths that we're looking at the moment.
This can go away.
One of the key paths that we're looking at the moment is the ability for us to go through the option that we still have the $80 million options to buy those 200 servers, and this is something that we're going to be working with.
And that can be taken out.
This is something that we're going to be working with BCI,
And then BCII needs to be spelled correctly.
with BCI with other partners as well to fulfill and put them in different data centers globally that we have. We talk about cost, but I perceive cost as time as well, because we've all got 24 hours in a day. How we deal with it and how do we get the best return is key. And ask any mathematician, compound interest is huge. Okay. And this is what
I didn't hear him say the word key here. So I'm trying to decide, did it add that? Was that, I think for the purpose of this, I can take it out, but I didn't hear it. So I'm thinking maybe it was part of deleted audio from when we got rid of filler words, but there wouldn't have been any filler words there. So I don't know.
interest is huge. Okay. And this is
And
what
there's another okay.
part. 20% of finance will be very small compared to what we can do with all that money, cash flow, and everything else. And that is the key. So the thing, just to
No, I can leave that as a separate sentence. It's fine.
clarify with the BCI is the
Now I'm going to try to change this all over. Oops. And hope it doesn't change the previous ones. BCII. See, it is going to try to do the previous ones. So what if I do... Where are we at? Here. What if I do... Hold on. No, it's still going to get all the previous ones I did. Well, the bonus is it only looks like it's 3 more. So I'll just have to... I was going to try to do a master place, but it's going to... You see how it's pulling the ones that I already fixed? It would add an extra I there. So I'm just going to do them individually. And then this one. And this one. And there should be one more.
we're doing the deal with BCI to allow us to go and build the
Stop. BCI. All right, so that should be all of them.
It's just BCI. We look after a community. Is the BCI investment is.
All right, so this is where we left off. All right, so let's get rid of that and continue.
They don't touch any of the existing hardware, anything we have. It's just BCI. We look after a community because we are a part of the community and we built this up with them. And the thing is, we've got our backs, which means we've got their back. Our investment, our time, our investment is the same.
Thank you, Tony. One quick question.
All right, so now we're back to me.
Thank you, Tony. One quick question added on to the end of that from a user was, does this deal affect buybacks at all, or will it affect buybacks at all?
Gives us more money to do.
I want to say I start talking here. Hold on.
Gives us more money to do.
Excellent. So,
all right, so obviously the AI cut something here that makes this sound extremely weird. The benefit of this program, though, if I highlight this whole section here and I can right click and say restore removed media. So it removed the word so from Tony and then obviously some sort of pause here. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure that this is labeled correctly for Tony and then listen to it, make sure it sounds okay. And then I'm just going to manually edit whatever's going on here.
Gives us more money to do so.
excellent. So we'll move on to,
Honestly, I don't think. I mean, I could take away a little bit of this extra voided space here. So we'll get rid of that one and that one. And then obviously I want to fix the capitalization there. Change this back to me. And then I'm going to listen to the beginning, but it allows us to restore media that was accidentally deleted by the AI. And that's why it's important to go through and listen to these also.
Gives us more money to do so.
Excellent. So we'll move on to another type of question outside of the funding real quick. And Kazad's asked if there's some sort of roadmap available or planned that will show the next objectives or tasks that SETI wants to achieve. Is that something that you could tackle for me, Dennis?
Yeah, and I'll do this.
So switch this to Dennis. I would say I sounded pretty clear, despite the fact that I hate my voice. I definitely think talking directly into the phone made it way easier for it to transcribe.
Yeah, and I'll do this with a little help from Lungri. Well,
and again, Logri's name is spelled so weird, but only once.
Lungri. Well,
I think there's an O in here too, and it's reading it as an A. So let me give it back here a little bit.
a little help from Lungri. Well,
Oh,
but
I'm going to delete it, but I'm not sure why. I didn't hear the audio for it really.
a little help from Lungri. Well, but I will say that our revenue model is based around two things, as we've talked about in the past. It's mining decentralized Web3 protocols.
Web3. No. Web3.
With the SETI AI.
And this is also new. SETI AI. Again, another reason you should listen to these or look at the transcripts.
With the SETI AI intelligent compute fabric. And that is the main.
Oh, there's some O's here I can get rid of though. So this was clearly an Let's delete this whole section here. I think this was one too.
And that is the.
See, it looks like it's this, but I'm thinking it's this. But it's attaching that to the word that, so I might have to do a text edit here too. But let me listen again.
And that is the main.
Yeah. So I'm going to delete this because I think this is the We're going to listen to it and then add the word that back in.
And that is the main.
Yeah. So I'm going to do it here.
And that is the main focus, for our revenue model, participating in work.
Stop. I don't know why it combined them like that. I don't think that was me that did that, but whatever. Easy fix.
Like Intense or Morpheus or.
Oh my gosh.
Intense or Morpheus or delivering compute to DPIN.
This is another word that it does regularly spell incorrectly, but it's not because I don't blame it. It's because DPIN, it's a weird acronym for decentralized infrastructure, I think. I forget what the P is. There's DeFi, decentralized finance. I think there's all kinds of DeSci, decentralized science, whatever. So I can't blame it because they're not common, but I will go through and correct them all.
Providers such
It also does it as deep end. So I'm sure I'll run into one of those throughout this as well.
as, for example, Chiron or.
That is a company name. Spiron. And I assume I'll need to capitalize this one too.
For example, Chiron or Hyperbolic. The other
There's
part
an
of the revenue model is leasing hardware on
All right, hold on. I'm going to tackle these O's.
Chiron or Hyperbolic.
All right, so this is the and then there was one down here.
The other part of the revenue model is
This little gray area here. I like that it grays most of them out too. It makes it very easy to spot.
model is leasing hardware on a term basis in a traditional term.
Another little gray area. Delete.
A term basis in a traditional term subscription model.
I'm not sure. Hold on. I want to restore this audio because I'm curious. Ooh, why did it try to add me in here? Actually, I'm going to undo that. I think maybe that is what he meant to say there. I don't know.
Traditional term subscription model to companies that need to do training or inference for their particular AI application. The roadmap really is scaling up these two aspects of the SETI AI business. Scaling up these two.
Let me grab this real quick. Delete.
Scaling up these two aspects of the SETI AI.
Another one. No. That one's an easy spot though. Sometimes these dots tend to be us as well, or like a pause.
Scaling up these two aspects of the SETI AI business from where it is today with the pilot installation running on the 8 HGX-H100 servers to filling that order for 200 more and installing those in a North American data center in the coming month.
I did hear that one, but I'm not gonna go after that one. That was here. It's too close.
Coming month and scaling.
I think I will try to get that one though.
Coming month and scaling up and out with
That was a weird space. What was that? Hold on. That was a long space.
scaling.
I'm gonna go ahead and snag it here. Where's my little, here it is, my little divider.
Up and
Yeah, this was a long, weird pause. So I'm going to just get rid of that.
scaling up and out with this new hardware.
Another
Aspect of that or with this new hardware. And maybe
Can you train yourself to not say that stuff? Like, is that something that people can do? Because I feel like I need to do it too.
Hardware. And maybe Logri would like to maybe talk a little bit.
Why did it say we? It's Logri. Weird.
And maybe Logri would like to maybe talk a little bit more about a couple aspects of that or not. I'm not sure, but that's pretty much the very simple roadmap that we have right now is to take, what we're doing at the moment, pilot scale, and grow it.
Yeah, so Dan.
All right, so let's change the speaker over to Logri.
Yeah, so Dennis just spoke very well about how we plan to scale up the amount of hardware that we have. There's also a software component to SETI AI, and we have been building out the plugs or basically figuring out the configurations and the network topology and everything required to deploy our stack, our hardware, to the various DPIN providers.
Alright, so there's another D pin. Stop weird.
D-pin providers. So we just got a deployment of HyperDOS for hyperbolic out. We're working through changes to our network topology required to support the Spheron deployment. We've been in talks with Aether before. Of course, we're going to get on Morpheus as soon as we can. There is plenty of just make it plug into everywhere. And that's mostly configuration and reading through the docs of various different forms.
This one's weird. The docs. And of course, it made it one word.
Through docs of various different formats and various different levels of polish, and oftentimes working collaboratively with those teams to improve their documentation as we go along, to improve their deployment stack, to write things like the occasional Helm chart that might wrap something, make it more convenient for the next person that comes along. And that makes those partners excited.
Man, that's a long ass sentence. Can you see that? As he's going through that, I'm like, what?
And that makes those partners excited to work with us. The other part of our software stack is the optimization of what we do with the cards. So if we rent out an entire machine, there's not really a whole lot we can do. If we rent out the entire H100, there's not really a whole lot more we can do other than say, okay, you've rented the card and allocated this container and it's exclusively yours. But we have in DPIN.
Why didn't it catch that one earlier?
DPIN, there's a combination of competitive marketplaces for tasks. These are places like Morpheus or BitTensor, where there's a limited number of slots or set rates, and you're trying to undercut the rate of other people and maintain your trust score or hold on to a slot in BitTensor. And those things are heavily graded against latency. It's highly competitive to hold on to those slots. And we have been...
It's a weird period.
We have been focusing on getting our inference time down significantly. So I saw an experiment from earlier today where we were able to get our original inference time down by 75% from where we started a month or two ago. And if you look at the spread of inference time a month or two ago, and if you look at the spread of inference times on some of the BitTensor subnets, that puts us in a whole category. Like,
hold on. There's weird shit going on in Telegram real quick. I have to look at. Okay, really nothing I can say. I was trying to, like, people were starting to argue a little bit. So I have to moderate while I'm doing this. Oddly enough, we're studying the Telegram, but...
Like, we are not part of the bell curve for the rest of the subnet at the type of result that we're getting. That is an extraordinary gain for what we've been investing in our dev time. We have the support of NVIDIA. I know we just had our team at NVIDIA HQ the other day, earlier this week, and so we got the chance to ask a bunch of questions on specifically configuring and optimizing the models that we're running for the NVIDIA hardware and pre-compilation rather than sending the description of the work over to the device and having it compile at the time we go to run it. Pre-compile step that makes it faster to do inference when it actually fires. And the last thing I'll say is we have hardware that's optimized. The hardware that we have should be optimal for training, but there aren't really any mature, monetizable, deployed mainnet versions of training in DPIN at the moment. Morpheus has a whitelisted set.
And this is a weird sentence. I'm trying to think. I think taking out the many would make it make more sense. Yeah, I think that'd be better.
Morpheus has a whitelisted set for Morpheus v2, and we're trying to get in that whitelisted set and deploy and support their growth over there. Jensen is still private, not even in beta. Ritual is in a test net, but like it's not monetizable. So in 6 months or a year from now, the landscape of DPIN is going to look
That's a new spelling. I haven't seen that one before.
DPIN is going to look and feel a way that's much more optimal for us. And it opens up the possibility of sort of priority jobs. So we could do something like have a low priority task that we
I can get rid of that. It's very isolated and random.
have a low priority task that we pause on our hardware in order to run a high priority inference on something like BitTensor. And so we could make our $5 to $9 per card hour on BitTensor. And then since it's only using 10% of the utilization of the cards, we can use the other 90% to do high throughput training and make another $5 to $9 an hour per card and stack those together, basically reusing the same hardware while being competitive at both. And so that on the backside, we're doing a lot of optimization for DPIN for these task-related environments to really get the amount of revenue up, to get the sustainability up, to make it so that self-heals if you have to take a box offline for some reason or something goes wrong, right? It can elegantly jump to a different part of the network rather than having us lose slots on some place like BitTensor. So there's plenty of development that is occurring.
This is random, but I just don't like that it capitalized that. It's so weird.
Plenty of development that is occurring right now with a experienced but very small software development team.
Sorry, I was getting messaged on by the team real quick about something. Sorry. I'm multitasking. In another screen. Like it's a private conversation. Sorry.
To optimize our competitiveness in these task or
I'll get rid of that. That one's pretty isolated. Was there one here that I missed? Hold on.
with a experienced but very small software
small.
development team to optimize our competitiveness in these task-oriented DPIN solutions.
That one. Correct.
DPIN solutions, these competitive marketplaces, and to make it so that we are.
This is extra, so I'll get rid of that.
And to make it so that we are integrated for the next set of DeFi that's coming. We're prepared for that, and that we can get the most, squeeze every last bit of revenue out of these cards. It's starting small with things like, okay, can we just run?
I feel like there needs to be a comma here. That's a weird sentence or statement too.
Most, squeeze every last bit of revenue out of these cards. It's starting small with things like, okay, can we just run a miner while we're not doing?
Change that. 2 places.
Miner while we're not doing BitTensor inference? And the answer is yes. And then
I know this isn't. It's spelled correctly, but it's kind of. It's like a name of. Wait. I just want to do the one part. I don't know why inference is in there. Here we go.
BitTensor inference? And the answer is yes.
This is the issue with having to do this while also trying to do other things is not like I'm trying to do other things, but I have not really be on call, but I have to be available for certain questions from the team. So when they ask, I'm like pausing to look at my screen to see what they're asking, and it's something that they need to know right away. Then let me see here. Just gonna send them this. And then I have to send them one more thing. Okay. Sorry. All right, back to this. Sorry about that.
And then it's going to get up to training. And we're going to...
Actually, this sentence I think I can adjust to.
The answer is yes. And then it's going to get up.
I think that could be... Oops. What did I do there? A comma.
And then it's going to get up to training. And we're going to... I think I've talked enough. What do you think? Anyone have anything to add on that?
No, that has really great detail.
All right. Actually, give me one more second. I'm going to stop that a second so I can do this. Okay. Sorry, I had to do something real quick, and I didn't know what I had on my screen. So let's bring this back up. Perfect. All right. I don't even know who's speaking right now. I think this was Dennis.
No, that has really great detail. Thanks, Blue Green.
Yeah, as always, perfect.
And then we got Tony, but I think this was... Oh shit, what did I do? And then we got Tony. Why did that not stick? Tony. No. See, it is... Period. Get rid of the empty space. Well, not all the empty space. Let me do it this way because I can see. There we go. Now, change to Toady. Okay, I think we got it. Jeez. I'm gonna listen to it though real quick.
No, that has really great detail. Thanks, Blue Green.
Yeah, as always, perfect. I think he also dropped about the meeting we had in the video. I think that one.
Okay, so this obviously he meant to say in. Well, he did say in video. It's just not reading it correctly.
Video, I think that one, I think we did half. We announced a little bit. That is quite an exciting. We spoke.
All of this, I think, can come out. It's unfinished thoughts here.
We announced a little bit. That is quite an exciting. We spent nearly 12 odd hours in the video headquarters.
In the video. In the video. Leviosa.
The video headquarters. I'll actually pass this over to Dennis because there's a lot of technical stuff that was discussed and most of that went over my head. I'm a finance and structuring person, not tech, but the thing is, they showed us a huge amount of stuff that they're doing, exciting stuff, and the 100,000 servers set up, they just it's exciting, and this proves it.
All right, so a lot of times when it does these big numbers, it adds that space. I don't know why, but it bugs me. So I like to clean that up a little bit.
And the 100,000 servers set up, they just it's exciting, and this proves exactly what we're saying. The whole world is moving towards it, but also all the big corporations moving towards it. So the decentralization of AI is crucial. And the thing is, now is the time to do it, because over a certain time, we might not be able to do this going forward. When the big corporations take over, okay, this is why we've seen first mover advantage is key. We will keep on building, we'll keep on growing with the community. So this is why we're doing the deal with BCI to allow us to go and build the hardware to offer the community. But I'll let Dennis talk about the overview of our time.
I don't know what's going on here, but all that's going. I think because I'm already over an hour streaming and I'm only, a little over 15 minutes into this 58-minute podcast, I don't think I'm going to live stream all of this because I'm going to have to do like a little back and forth pause, do other things and come back because this is taking longer. But I do want to show you guys what my next steps would be if I was finished. And basically, there's two things I would do. Once everything's finished, I like it. If I'm not going to be using it for video, which I will be later, and I'll do live streams showing you how I turn this into video later on. But the two things I want from this, one, I want a final audio file, final MP3. So I would export the audio, the current composition as an MP3. You could edit your metadata, like show title, whatever. Advanced has like audio stuff. I don't understand. I'm not an audio person. So you can export it as an MP3 that way. And then I would also export as a transcript where I want to include the speaker labels. I like to include the time markers, the composition name. You could do ignored text. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do speaker labels on every paragraph. I do add the time codes and the paragraph breaks, the speaker labels. You can do time codes and intervals if you want. A couple other adjustments I don't really mess with. And you can change your format. If you don't want it to be in a Microsoft Word document, you can do rich text, whatever. I do Microsoft Word because I can easily convert that to Google Docs, which is what I use. And then other people use Microsoft. It's just easier. But again, I showed you earlier, it does color code the speakers. It does the timestamps. It does the paragraphs. So I'll export that and download it. And then I have a transcript. And that's all I intended to do today was have a transcript and a final audio file that's mostly edited. And then what I can do the rest of the week is go through and cut snippets out of this to turn them into social media posts to repurpose content, which is a big thing in marketing. Again, I own a digital agency. If you're watching this, you should probably know that because it's in my bio. It's in my links in my bio. It's called Misfit Interactive. We do web design, social media marketing, SEO, brand design, print design, community management, Discord audits and security setups. So, it's a lot of stuff that I do. And I'll even edit your podcasts or your videos if you want. But the repurposing of content is so important for a strategy because you could put out a podcast and be like, here's my podcast. But if you can turn that into shorts or reels or TikToks or a blog post or a Medium article where you get paid to write, like there's so many different things that you could do with one piece of content. And it saves time. I don't have to keep thinking of what do I need to write this week? What do I need to create this week? So it just gives you a lot more bang for your buck. So repurposing content is very important, and that's what I like to do for SETI as well. We are on almost all the social media platforms. They do not have a TikTok. I don't know that we're going to create a TikTok. We have everything else. And crypto is mostly focused on X and maybe LinkedIn. I do see a lot more crypto influence on LinkedIn lately. And YouTube. We do have YouTube, but there's no video really to put out there currently. So it's kind of not sure what we're going to do on YouTube. We do a couple shorts and videos that are transcription videos like this that are captioned, but that's what I like to do with this kind of stuff is you get it edited when it first happens, so it's fresh in your brain, and then you have that as a tool to then use for other things later on. So one thing I will show you real quick is under Underlord. Let's say I wanted to turn this into a podcast. Now YouTube, it does have a YouTube description option, but there's no reason if it's already going through the entire transcript of the podcast. And let's say you take a snippet and you want to turn that into, maybe it's like 2 minutes worth of the video, and turn that into a clip that you want to upload on YouTube. You know, once you create the background and the captions, there's no reason, even for just having it as a podcast, that you couldn't use the YouTube description function. So I'm going to go ahead. You can, give it some custom instructions. I just do the default. And what it's going to do is give me 3 options to choose from by reading the text. And I can use this for the podcast too. Like, you don't have to only use this for YouTube. So it gives me a title. It gives me a description. It gives me my marks for YouTube. I don't know if Spotify or a lot of the podcasts may use this too. But when you upload this to YouTube, all of these timestamps link to that exact point in the video. It's very easy on YouTube. But this could easily be used for your podcast as well. So if you really want to, save time editing your podcast, getting your YouTube description, you have the option to copy. I guess it's not YouTube that it does through. I think it's the social media. So let me show you the social media real quick. If I wanted to draft a social media post, same thing. It gives me 3 options to choose from. And I mean, the thing with the social media posts and ChatGPT is the same way, because I love ChatGPT to a degree. All the emojis and stuff, they're kind of easy to spot now. They do give some sample hashtags, and some of these are good. I probably wouldn't do hashtag SETI very often, or hashtag SETI_AI I wouldn't do at all. But some of these you would use. You can get some ideas from it. You may like the text, so you just copy and paste which one you want. So that's a convenient part of Descript as well. You can technically generate an image. Where did I see that? I have not used this yet. Let's go ahead. So artificial intelligence. Let's just go ahead and see what image it generates. Some of them are pretty decent. I guess this is like their version of Midjourney. I still love Midjourney the most. I still use Midjourney just not for selling things. I know there's like this whole stipulation about stolen artwork and stuff. Like, I don't use it for anything like that. I use it for like gaming or something. If I'm doing a personal game with somebody, like if you wanted to use this for an article. Oh, it adds it in there. Oh, look at that. Let me hide my timeline. So if you wanted to turn it into a video, of course. Oh, and another thing. So this is your typical resolution for like YouTube or a lot of the video platforms. But if you needed to change it, let's say you were editing a video and not just a podcast, you can do square if you wanted it to be for like Instagram and not a reel. Or if you wanted it for Instagram, Reels, or TikTok, it'll let you reformat and still use all the same captions. Like this image probably wouldn't be good for this resolution. But it'll change the resolution of your video and you just move stuff around so it fits. So another option, but for right now, I'm not making a video. So I'm just gonna, I don't know how to get it to make it go away completely. This I can make that go away, but we'll just have to leave that there for now. So yeah, even if you do start editing a video and you just want to download the audio, it doesn't matter. You can download just the audio, you can download the video, the transcript. It just adds that extra option in there. So I'm not doing a video of this right now. I'm not that worried about it. But anyway, that is my tutorial. I got to go do some other things real quick, and then I'm going to come back to this. But I did hopefully go through all the different elements of editing a podcast that I think are useful. So feel free to like, subscribe, follow along. I do like to geek out regularly. Happy to answer questions. Happy to geek out more. I will do more live streams this week. Thanks a bunch.